Here.
Connolly,
Here.
Altringer,
Here.
McCoy.
Here. Action on the minutes of the previous meeting.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Polk,
Yes.
Hawkinsmith,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
Altringer,
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes. Any special claims?
None.
Action on the bill list is submitted by the county auditor. Roll call?
Holm,
Yes.
Hawkinsmith,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
Altringer,
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes. This time we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the public hearing
Our first public hearing is on disposal of county interest in real estate.
is proof of publication on file.
Yes.
Is there anyone here to speak to the item? If not, we'll close the hearing and ask for a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Second.
Roll call?
This is for number 6, resolution approving quitclaim deed of vacant parcel to Ralph Cornelius Hall. Holm,
Yes.
Hawkinsmith,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
Altringer,
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
The next public hearing is to vacate public utility easement.
Is proof of publication on file?
Yes.
Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? If not, I'll close the hearing and ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second. Second. Second.
Roll call?
This is for number 7, resolution approving vacation of existed platted public utility easement and authorizing the auditor to record the resolution and vacating instruments. Holm,
Yes.
Hawkinsmith,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
Altringer,
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes. We're at the point in the meeting where we entertain public comments on any issues before the board, or anyone that has comments to share with the board. This would be your opportunity to make public comments at this time. Please just state your name and your address as well.
Good morning. My name is Mike Tramontina, and I live at 4819 Waterbury Road here in Des Moines. I'm here today representing the Sierra Club, and I want to speak to the Central Iowa Source Water report. For the past month and into the foreseeable future, 600,000 Central Iowans are under mandatory water use restrictions from the Central Iowa Water Works because of poor water quality in the Des Moines and Raccoon rivers. It's important to note this restriction is not caused by a shortage of water, but solely due to pollution in the water. According to a draft of the Central Iowa Source Water Research Assessment, the pollutants in the water are nitrates, well above the safe drinking water standards. Nitrates get into the water from over-application of livestock manure and commercial fertilizers, and on farmland that runs off onto our rivers and streams. The assessment found that agriculture contributes about 80% of all nitrogen in the rivers. This situation is only one symptom of having over 700 impaired waterways, lakes, rivers, and streams in our state that are unsafe for drinking, fishing, or swimming. This is truly an alarming situation. I thank the Polk County Board for commissioning the Central Iowa Source Water Research Assessment, which can be a first step in bringing about statewide policies to clean up the people's water. I believe the assessment and recommendations can be a turning point in the long-running political struggle over pollution in Iowa's water. The assessment was produced from over 4,000 hours based on 4,000 hours of work by 16 scientists based on solid science. I'm disappointed the board did not schedule a presentation of the results of the assessment and the recommendations. I also thank the board for an investment in demonstrations of edge-of-field practices. I look forward to reading and hearing more about what you've learned and what progress has been made. However, it's important to recognize those practices will never be sufficient to make meaningful progress on the problems in the Des Moines-Raccoon River watersheds. The edge-of-field practices are micro in scale. They can improve a single farming operation, but the problem we face is watershed-wide in scale and requires watershed-wide and statewide changes. In every news report I read or seen of the draft report, some political leader has said, we need to consider the effects on the farmers and the landowners. Of course, their views will always be taken into account. They have wealth and power, and their concerns will no doubt be fully aired. But I want to remind you today what usually goes unsaid, the other half of that equation. What about the babies who cannot drink the water that comes out of our taps? What about the pregnant mothers who put their babies at risk if they drink the tap water? And what about the rest of the hundreds of thousands of people in Iowa who are purchasing filters and cases of bottled water every time they shop because they're afraid to give tap water to their children? And what about the dead zone in the Gulf where no fish, shrimp, crabs, or clams can live? The EPA says the largest contributor to the dead zone is Iowa. I hope that in all future discussions, every time you hear someone say, what about the farmers? I hope one of you will turn and say, what about the babies? It's obvious that Iowa's nutrient reduction strategies failed. It's been in place for more than 12 years, and the water quality is worse now than it was then. I don't think the problems are with the conservation steps outlined in the strategy. Rather, the problem is there are no measurements, no goals, no deadlines by which to measure progress. As a result, there has been no progress. Progress cannot be measured in the numbers of farmers who implement a conservation plan. Progress needs to be measured in the quality of the water flowing in our rivers and lakes. I've worked on legislation and public policy in Iowa for over 30 years. The real obstacle to progress is not the steps outlined in the strategy. The real obstacles are the lawyers and the lobbyists who write the loopholes in legislation and administrative rules, and public relations firms and advertisers who manipulate public opinion, and finally, the people who control the political action committees. That group denies there's any problem, or they blame someone else. They will never voluntarily agree to changes. The reason I have high hopes for this report is that it was written solely by scientists analyzing actual data. If we can move the terms of the debate away from politics and onto science, I have no doubt there are policies and practices that are proven to work in other places that can work in Iowa too. I look forward to receiving the full report and reading it. We look forward to working with you on the recommendations. As a first step, I suggest you use your power to convene, to give the public a full presentation of the report. Allow the coordinator and 5 or 6 of the scientists who contributed to explain it at a public forum and take questions. I'll close on a positive note. And if you only remember one thing I say today, remember this. It doesn't have to be this way. Again, it doesn't have to be this way. There are examples. Our rivers can be cleaned up. The Des Moines and the Raccoon can be brought back to drinkable, swimmable, and fishable quality, and by natural processes. Pick up a Sierra Club magazine and any nature or conservation magazine, and you'll find lots of stories about water bodies the size of Chesapeake Bay, the Everglades, Klamath Rivers, stories about water bodies that have been cleaned up, and all by natural processes, and fish and wildlife are returning in a short time. I expect the recommendations of this report will produce results in Iowa too. I plead with you. Be the bridge to healthier drinking water and healthier farms. Don't be the roadblock. Thank Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to working with you on the recommendations.
Thank you, Mike.
Hello, I am going to be commenting on the same report. My name is Adam Shriver. I'm the Director of Wellness and Nutrition at the Harkin Institute for Public Policy and Citizen Engagement, an institute founded to connect people to policy on the issues Senator Tom Harkin worked on during his long Senate career. Given where I work, I unsurprisingly am a huge believer in the power of policy. Of course, we can, should, and do encourage people to eat their fruits and veggies, avoid smoking and drinking too much, to be careful with water usage, and so on. But ultimately, we all know that policy plays a big role in shaping human behavior and health. As one example of this, in 2002, Senator Tom Harkin introduced language into the Farm Bill that provided funding for farmers to implement conservation measures on working lands. Later renamed as the Conservation Stewardship Program, this program is now the largest working lands conservation program in the United States and has played a crucial role in encouraging farmers to use regenerative agriculture and scientifically validated techniques to lessen their impact on the environment and on public health. More recently, just last year, the Harkin Institute hosted a conference that coincided with the release of a book, Industrial Farm Animal Production, the Environment, and Public Health. The book and conference detailed the many ways in which there are important health implications for the way that industrial agriculture is performed, from water pollution to air pollution to the risks posed by avian influenza and other communicable diseases. It was clear from the conference that there are important public health dimensions of the way industrial agriculture is currently being conducted, and unfortunately, equally clear that these considerations are not being adequately taken into consideration in the formation of public policy. So that was why I was so thrilled to see that this important report about Des Moines rivers that began years ago under the guidance of John Norris and now being continued up until today is now completed. That report, put together by some of the best scientists in Iowa and around the nation, provides a comprehensive review of what we know about multiple issues challenging Des Moines riverways and offering recommendations that prioritize public health. And I especially appreciate that the scientists who wrote the report in a manner that did not attempt to hide basic facts or information simply because that information was inconvenient to particular lobbyists or trade organizations. So for that reason, I am very excited today for the Harkin Institute to hopefully be the first institution to extend an invitation to Jennifer Terry and the incredible team of scientists and experts behind the report to present their findings at our institute, or if it's as popular of a topic as I think it might be, at a larger venue at Drake University. We don't have a date set yet, but we are in the process of planning for an event and would be thrilled to help bring these important findings to Polk County. So I want to say thank you to all the forward thinkers and scientists who created this report, and I'm excited to help share these important results with the citizens of the country and the state. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Wally Taylor. I'm the Conservation Chair and Legal Chair for the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club. I live at 2200 South 31st Street in Marion. But this report that you've obtained, we haven't seen the full report yet, but the 100 and some page summary leads me to say that this is a great report, and thank the board for initiating that effort. But how do we go forward from here? We know from this report what the problems are. We know the cause of our water quality problems. I would suggest to you that one of the primary reasons that we have a water quality problem in Iowa is that the Iowa legislature has not stepped up to the plate, has not done the work of creating laws that protect Iowa's waters. And by the same token, without those laws, the Iowa Department of Natural Resources is free to promulgate rules that really do not provide the protection that we need for our waters. And I would suggest to this board that based on this report, what you can do is to persuade the Iowa Association of Counties, the League of Cities, other organizations whose members are impacted by poor water quality to step up and persuade the legislature to do what is necessary to protect our water quality. And I will assure you the Iowa Sierra Club stands ready to join in that effort.
Thank you, Wally.
Good morning. My name is Mike Delaney. I am the Conservation Director for the Isaac Walton League of Iowa. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this issue this morning. I appreciate it very much. From what I've seen of the report, it reminds me of two previous reports. One was a TMDL done by Schilling and Walters. It was very comprehensive. I think it's all in there, what needs to be done, and the causes, the problems, et cetera. Second report was done by Agron, a private organization up in Carroll. I participated in that effort, and it was, all the players were at the table. And I thought it was an excellent report that came out of that as well. This report is consistent, I think, with the previous two reports. I don't think that, I haven't read the whole thing, obviously, I've just seen, pieces of it. I founded the Raccoon River Watershed Association after buying a little farm on the Raccoon River out in Dallas County. So I've been up close and personal with the quality of the water. I noticed the decline. I bought the place in '88. Shortly after that, for economic reasons, I think a lot of conservation came out, and more concentrated farming of corn especially, and tiling and so on in that watershed resulted in changes that we could see. So while we had, waded and swam and fished and paddled a lot on that river, I really can't recommend, putting your head under that water, especially right now. Right now, it's looking pretty bad. So I don't want to be redundant. I agree with the previous speakers, but I want to say this is a little different take. I was a sociology professor for many years, and I have a little different take maybe than a lot of people on what's going on. 175 years, immigrants to Iowa have really done pretty well. And I'm talking about Germans, Scandinavians, right? Irish, Italians. I mean, all of these Europeans came in here, found this fabulous land. Unbelievably deep soil, they didn't realize it at first. And wonderful water resources. This state is blessed beyond, I don't know what other place on the planet has got water resources like we have. But over time, we've seen degradation of our loss of our soil even, and degradation of the soil and water. And I want to point to federal and state policy as the problem. We subsidize this system. In one season, it was $120 billion of subsidy for production of crops. At the same time, selling those crops resulted in over $30 billion in losses. So there's something wrong with this food system and agricultural system, in the Midwest especially, I would say. Concentration of wealth, lack of responsibility, accountability for consequences of major players' actions in our country, and Citizens United, I think, has put our democracy in jeopardy, especially obvious at the federal and the state level. So that brings me to where we are right now. I don't think that big money can control all elections. We have county elections. I think that it's possible that all our counties can step up with regard to the conservation problems we face. And I think the bottom line is embrace sustainability. We need a place for our kids and our grandkids. It's sad that people are leaving Iowa. Our reputation out there is not great right now, around the world and around the country. Polk County is an island. And, you know, I was with Bill Stowe on that lawsuit. But Polk County got hammered over that lawsuit. But now, all across the state, people are realizing we've got a problem with nitrogen. Bill Northey admitted it. When a lot of people wanted to hang Bill Stowe, Bill Northey went up north to the counties that were being sued and said, the problem is bigger than Bill Stowe. The problem is nitrogen and other contaminants as well. So I'm going a little too long here, but that's my point. I mean, here, you've done a wonderful job with this report. It's going to come out. We're all going to see what's in it. The same thing has been said over and over again. Polk County can't change the agricultural system in Iowa, but we can tell the truth. And there are a lot of people in this room. We're all about telling the truth about our health, about our soil compaction and degradation, and the destruction of not only our water, but from an Isaac Walton League perspective, our fish and wildlife, you know, the ecosystem in general is being degraded, and it doesn't have to be. This state has maintained human beings for 10,000 years in really good shape. So what are we doing? You know, so please tell the truth, send that message out as strongly as you all can, and Polk County can, I think, withstand the attacks from all those people that are jealous of the quality of life in the central part of the state. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mike, and thanks for being here. Hi, Matt.
Hello. Matt Russell, I'm with the Iowa Farmers Union, and I'm going to be sharing our statement regarding the CISWRA from Polk County. And I'm going to be reading directly for our president, Aaron Lehman, who farms in North Polk County, and would be here today, except he is a full-time farmer and is in the seat of a tractor in between weather events. I'm Aaron Lehman, president of the Iowa Farmers Union and fifth-generation farmer in northern Polk County. IFU is grateful that Polk County invested in this project. We all know that agriculture is contributing to our water quality challenges in Iowa. The good news is that means farmers can be an important part of solving this problem. Polk County has been a leader in investing in and partnering with farmers to shift from conservation as an afterthought to integrating conservation and production on our farms. We know that when soil health, water quality, and climate solutions are integrating edge of field and in-field practices, Iowa farmers and ranchers can shift from being part of the problem to being an important source of solutions. Polk County is making important investments, such as the game-changing batch and build approach that is being replicated across our state and around the country. Thank you for your continued leadership. Iowa Farmers Union looks forward to seeing the recommendations and working with Polk County, the Soil and Water Conservation Districts, NRCS, FSA, IDALS, and other farm groups to continue to invest in Iowa farmers to deliver what our communities, our state, our nation, and our world need to thrive. This report could not come at a better time. For years, Iowa's agricultural community and elected leaders have championed the belief that farmers can implement solutions on our land and with our livestock to correct our water quality challenges. Unfortunately, the Trump administration has canceled, frozen, or paused this somewhere between $50 and $100 million of investments in Iowa farmers and ranchers this year alone. These investments through Farm Bill programs and the Partnerships for Climate Smart Commodities were meant to empower Iowa farmers to integrate the very practices needed to help improve our water quality. The Trump administration has also cut staff and technical support at USDA to help farmers implement these proven practices. Polk County's leadership in working with and supporting Iowa farmers has never been more important. Thank you for your leadership. We look forward to reading the full report, the executive summary, and the recommendations.
Thank you, Matt.
And I have a copy for the record.
Great, thank you. We'll take that right here. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. I submitted yesterday written comments, and I'm wondering if by this reference it could be made a part of the record.
You may. Yes.
Other people have said things that I won't repeat. My work as a lawyer in Iowa City in Northeast Iowa causes me to spend about half my time doing environmental work and most of that time in water quality work. I know there are partisan statements that could be made either way. What impresses me about Iowa is the moment that we're in. I think we're at the cusp of a new civil rights movement, one that is there to protect the fundamental right to access to clean water. A fundamental right, a natural right, is one that preceded us. And the descriptions of Iowa's water courses as the first settlers came here is testament to the abundant supplies of clean water that we enjoyed and we built our state around. Des Moines itself would not have been anything but a village but for the confluence of two powerful and clean sources of water. In the watersheds of those two rivers are, depending on the count and the definition, somewhere between 20 and 30,000 farms. If the general statistics apply, probably 50% of the less of those farms are managed and run by people who actually live on the land. A lot of the externalities of farming practices today are suffered by those of us who live downstream, and everyone in Iowa lives downstream when it comes to water quality. Well, what is going on here in the simplest way to express we know there are powerful relationships supporting the, what I would call, agricultural industrial complex, but it comes down to simple math. We are allowing our farming community to apply twice as much nitrogen to our soils than the crops themselves can absorb. Use the baseline, the statistics published by Iowa State University. A corn plant, a soybean plant can absorb only so much nitrogen. But if you take the amount of nitrogen that is sold every year in Iowa to farmers, and that's a known statistic, and if you take the amount of manures that the livestock in Iowa produce, translate those animals into human terms, and it can be done, people have done it. We now have the population density in human terms in Iowa of Bangladesh. Now the difference is that about 3 million humans are treating their sewage one way or another. But the animals that produce the heaps of other manures, which are then placed on the farmland, are not treated at all. How would we feel to live in a state with the population density of Bangladesh and say none of us have to treat our sewage? How sick would we be? We're becoming that sick society, and it's not in our self-interest. It's not in our self-perception of what we are as Iowans. I grew up in Iowa City, where the publications on pediatrics were known nationwide as the measures of pediatric health of children because we were that healthy. Now we're leading the nation in cancer rates. And we have this strange tradition where cancer children in the top floor of the Children's Hospital are waved to by the people below. We're sympathetic with anyone with a cancer, but cannot we talk about the cause? We're at that moment. We are not who we are meant to be. And we ask that the members of this board show courage, start the way. Every civil rights movement starts with a brave act. A woman who refuses to move from a chair on a bus started a movement. We are all on the environmental bus together. However, at the present moment, when the CEOs and the swashbuckling attorneys for the major agricultural industrial complex players get on the bus, too many of our elected officials, and I point to no one in this room, too many of the elected officials run to the back of the bus. Who's going to sit in the chair? Who's going to be the first one to act? I hope it will be members of this body. You have the opportunity to lead the way. The state will be watching, the nation will be watching. It's that kind of a crisis, and I wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Morning, Pat.
Good morning. Pat Bodie, 7932 Rockland Drive in Urbandale, Iowa. I represent no one but myself, a mother, a grandmother, and an agricultural engineer who spent more than half her life, so that's a really long time, working on behalf of water quality and soil conservation in the state of Iowa. And I realize that that has been for me a form of prayer, that I could have moved to a state 50 years ago and leave a legacy for my grandchildren. I have failed. You folks, thank you for making a really significant effort to try and turn the trajectory around for what's happening with our water. Our water quality declines as our soil loss increases. And these are bad things for our economic vitality and for our health. You sit poised as a bipartisan body of the largest county in the state to really take that leadership role, and you're starting that with this report. I'm excited to read it, 250 pages with some of the finest scientists in the country, looking forward to it, and anything that I and other members of the conservation community can do to support your efforts moving forward, I think you can count on us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Good morning. I'm Pam Mackey Taylor. I'm the director of the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club. We have an office at 3839 Merle Hay Road, and I live at 2200 South 31st in Marion. We can and should solve this water quality problem. It won't be easy, but it is necessary. And we encourage Polk County to be a leader in solving this problem and implementing some of the recommendations in this report. We all need to step up to clean up Iowa's waters. Fertilizer manufacturers, integrators who own the animals in confinement operations and open feedlots, CAFOs. Advisors on fertilizer application, the governor and the secretary of IDOLS, legislators, farmers, and water drinkers. Together, we can solve this, and we encourage you to lead the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Good morning, Josh. Welcome.
Morning Supervisors. My name's Josh Mandelbaum. I'm an attorney with the Environmental Law and Policy Center, as well as a Des Moines City Council member. And I'm here today first to thank you for the good work that you've done, that the county has done with the Central Iowa Source Water Research Assessment. It's important work, it's timely work, it is critical to our future. And I've had a chance to see some of the reporting, including the draft report that's available online. And I know that the assessment helps us better understand the threats to our water and builds on the body of scientific analysis demonstrating the negative impacts of agricultural pollution on public health and aquatic life. The report and the recent experience of Central Iowa Waterworks is clear evidence that the voluntary nutrient reduction strategy is not working. The Current of Change summary report provides a path forward for improving water quality with a comprehensive set of recommendations, from water quality monitoring and planning to benchmarking and implementing conservation practices. I support implementation and progress on all of the recommendations and stand ready to work with you and whatever other stakeholders are willing to help make progress on improving our water quality. But I specifically want to call attention to the recommendations for the development of numeric nutrient criteria and contingency plans for complying with more stringent safe drinking water standards that would protect for cancer and other health impacts. The current EPA drinking water standards are based on decades-old science to prevent blue baby syndrome, an acute short-term health impact. Continuing to meet that standard is important and critical, and I appreciate the good work Central Iowa Waterworks does on our behalf day in and day out. But there is a growing body of scientific evidence that long-term exposure to lower levels of nitrate in drinking water is linked to cancer and other health impacts. We have the second highest cancer rate of any state in our country, and our cancer rates are increasing. The Environmental Working Group estimates between 74 and 332 annual cases of cancer in Iowa attributable to nitrates. We need our water quality standards to keep up with the science, and then we need our pollution reduction efforts to match it. And finally, I want to speak to you as a fellow elected official. We know that what the state has been doing to address nutrient pollution is not working. It's not reducing pollution, and our residents bear the consequences of that failure. It's our residents are the ones who pay costs to keep clean pollution out of their drinking water. Our residents are impacted by lawn watering bans, beach closures, and recreational hazards. Our residents bear the risks of EPA standards that do not protect for cancer and other health impacts. The status quo to address water quality in this state is not working, and it will only change if we use our collective voice and advocate for that change. The assessment provides a path for doing so. I stand ready to join you, and I hope you'll advocate for that change with us.
Thank you, Josh.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Michael Schmidt. I'm the General Counsel of the Iowa Environmental Council. IEC is the state's largest nonprofit coalition working to create a safe, healthy environment and sustainable future for all Iowans. I'm here to thank you for undertaking the Central Iowa Source Water Research Assessment, and we appreciate that this report was a thorough study, peer-reviewed by many of the top water experts. It's fantastic that Polk County engaged in such a detailed, comprehensive analysis. We appreciate that the report pulls together so many facets of water issues and concerns. From what we've seen so far, the report is an accessible way for the public to learn more about water quality issues and solutions in both the county and the state. The Currents of Change report confirms that Central Iowa's waterways are significantly impacted by agricultural pollution, particularly nitrates and fecal bacteria, which pose serious risks to public health. It highlights the need to change our approach because we have not made significant progress on water quality since the adoption of the nutrient reduction strategy in 2013. While there are many individuals voluntarily undertaking conservation practices, including members of Iowa Farmers Union and others, we need larger scale changes to protect our source water supplies. The nitrate levels in the Raccoon, Des Moines, Cedar, and Iowa rivers continue to provide evidence that we need to involve everyone upstream. We can't continue to rely on treating the problem downstream, especially when the problems aren't limited to one watershed. I've seen public statements recently that the problems we see this year are a seasonal issue or the result of a long-term drought. But after hearing that, I feel compelled to point out that their argument is like a drained wetland. It just doesn't hold water. The drought ended last year, not this year. We had above average rainfall in 2024, with DNR noting, quote, the 2024 growing season experienced unusually wet weather, end quote. Meanwhile, IDALS reported that 2024 had the highest fertilizer sales out of the 11 years it has posted online. DNR records show that we added another 55,000 animal units in concentrated animal feeding operations in the past year. Now, Central Iowa faces the second highest nitrate levels on record. If you look below the surface, which is hard to do in most Iowa lakes, you can see that the problem is not just a drought or wet weather, it's what people are putting on the land upstream. The report's recommendations and comprehensive watershed planning, clear benchmarks for progress, funding for additional water monitoring, and improved manure management practices will be key steps to safeguarding the public and environmental health into the future. We look forward to Polk County using these findings and recommendations to increase education and awareness among Central Iowa residents and all Iowans who drink and recreate in our water resources. We are happy to partner in those efforts going forward. We also look forward to the county's efforts to advocate for the recommendations in the report at the state and local level to ensure every Iowan can be part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard today? If not, we will close the public comments section and move on to the permits.
Number 9, fiscal year 25-26 applications for cigarette, tobacco, nicotine vapor permits for those listed on the agenda. 10, new application for special Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service area permit for Fender's Brewing, 6170 Northwest Polk City Drive, Polk City. Number 11, renewal application for Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service area permit for Merry Go Round Lounge, 6584 Northeast 14th Street, Des Moines. And number 12, renewal application for Class E retail alcohol license for Oasis, 5120 Northeast 14th Street, Des Moines.
Roll call.
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly? Supervisor Connolly?
Yes. Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes. Resolutions.
Number 13, resolution approving agreement with Scott Maurer for connection to the Polk County sanitary sewer system to serve property at 620 Northeast Broadway, Des Moines. 14, resolution approving 28E agreement with the City of Polk City for the concept study for reconstruction of the intersection of Iowa 415 and Northwest 44th Street. 15, resolution awarding agreement for the Fisher Lake Wetland Restoration Project to JNC Construction. Number 16, resolution awarding agreement for the Thomas Mitchell Stream Restoration Project to Veed and Company. 17, resolution accepting bid received from Allied Systems for agreement for extended coverage maintenance on Polk County property for sanitary and storm sewer lift station maintenance and repair. And number 18, resolution accepting bid received from the Waldinger Corporation for agreement for yearly maintenance for Polk County emergency warning sirens.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 19, resolution approving agreement with the Pathfinder Network for license to use evidence-based parenting inside-out curriculum. And number 20, resolution approving agreement with Lutheran Services in Iowa for the provision of evidence-based family support home visitation services.
Move.
Second.
Second. Second.
Roll call.
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 21, resolution approving release of mortgage for 1518 31st Street, Des Moines. Numbers 22 and 23 are resolutions approving contracts with Richmond Construction to address lead hazard repairs at 1441 Guthrie Avenue, Des Moines, and 1100 East Sheridan Avenue, Des Moines. Number 24, resolution approving contract with Fab Rehab to address lead hazard repairs at 4380 Northeast Sheridan Avenue, Des Moines. And number 25, resolution approving renewal agreement for services with Wesley Life to provide local public health, nursing, and home care aid services.
So moved.
Second. Second.
Roll call.
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 26, resolution approving position modification within the Department of Community, Family, and Youth Services.
I'd move to defer as the department is not ready to move forward with it.
Second.
It will be deferred.
Number 27, resolution approving position modification within the Health Department.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 28, resolution approving governmental agency abatement. 29, resolution terminating tax suspensions. 30, resolution approving extension to independent contractor agreement with Sarah Smith. And 31, resolution approving extension of World Pay Merchant Services Agreement.
So moved.
I'll move those.
Second.
Second.
Roll call?
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 32, resolution approving recommendation of the Polk County Assessor for allowance of the homestead tax credit.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 33, resolution approving emergency rental assistance 2 funding agreement for Starts Right Here development. And number 34, resolution appointing individuals to serve as Polk County's representatives on various boards and commissions.
So moved.
Move.
S- Roll call?
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yeah.
Altringer? Supervisor Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 35, resolution approving Polk County Community Betterment Grant, Community Development Grant, and sponsorship guidelines. And numbers 36 and 37 are resolutions approving Community Betterment Grant Awards and Community Sponsorship Awards.
So moved.
Second. Second.
Roll call?
Holm? Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 38, resolution approving agreement with Flynn Wright. And numbers 39 and 40 are resolutions approving employment agreements with Samuel Stanton, MD, and Rebecca Lockenmeyer, MD.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Number 41, resolution approving employment agreement between Polk County and Frank Marasco.
So moved.
Second. I have a comment. First, I want to talk about that I don't believe this has been a fair or open application process, even if Frank had rose to the top. There's been no discussion, no email to the board, so quite frankly, it's not been great communication. Chair McCoy calls for transparency, even stated in a meeting back in March, I think. I know Tom Hawkinsmith has asked a couple times in the past about when we were going to do a search, and his comment that then, back in March, I believe, we would like to get to one, and we will be doing a nationwide search. And then quoted in the paper, envisions that the county would be doing one 6 to 9 months on a runway, as a runway before casting a nationwide search, at which point he said the county could have a better chance of recruiting a solid long-term candidate. This agreement, on top of everything else, is a flawed process. We had an outside counsel draw it up, which I don't think is right. I don't believe that was why we hired outside counsel. There's apparently only 3 people on this board that seems to think they can get things done. I'm very disappointed that this is happening in the county, and therefore I cannot support this.
Thank you. What I'd say is first to address some concerns, and first of all, it was internally decided as Polk County, whenever we have and we identify current workforce individuals that are currently working for the county, that, oftentimes we should consider our internal candidates first before a broader search is conducted. The board did find itself in a situation where we had an individual who did step into this role 6 months ago and has served in this role, performed well under circumstances, and helped move the county and navigated us through some fiscal year budget process, as well as hit the ground running, helping us lower the tax levy without reducing services or any staff, as we were mandated to do by the Iowa legislature. We asked him to help partner and navigate through the reorganization of the medical examiners when we were having difficulty recruiting medical examiners and retaining medical examiners, which resulted in over $1 million savings annually for Polk County, plus a cost avoidance of up to $40 million in a new medical examination facility through our partnership with the state. Today, we closed the loop by naming a new medical examiner who will work for Polk County, as well as a deputy medical examiner. In addition, he's assisted us through the RFP process, improved our competitiveness and fairness in our bidding process. We've gone to a more transparent system as it relates to our bidding process, and these actions have already resulted in great savings for Iowa taxpayers and Polk County taxpayers. In addition, he's negotiated a new contract with the United States Department of Justice, which will generate millions of new additional tax dollars, which will help offset our jail management costs. Frank has overseen the election, office, construction, remodel, and we are on schedule and will be open this fall for the fall elections. This is a great enhancement to the voters of Polk County. Overall, I would tell you, Frank has been a finalist in a process. He was one of 2 finalists for this position before. I'm pleased. He's well qualified. Frank possesses an MBA and MPA and has spent more than 20 years with the county, and most recently served as a chief administrator for the Polk County Sheriff's Office. And I think we have a wonderful candidate to serve in this role. I wish him luck in his endeavors as we move forward to continue to strengthen and modernize county government. And I'm pleased that he's willing to step into this important role, and I think he will do a good job. So thank you for being a candidate, Frank.
I'm glad you had your speech all prepared for all the millions of dollars you think Frank saved when you had this planned all along, apparently.
I think, you know,
From the very beginning.
I think that I think we should have a roll call vote at this time.
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
No.
Connolly?
No.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Communications. Number 42, Central Iowa Source Water Research Assessment Report.
Thank you. The report before you today, and I'd like to begin by, first of all, thanking all of the speakers. I believe there were 9 speakers that made some very wonderful, 8 speakers that made 10 speakers today that made some wonderful points, challenging Polk County's participation in addressing water quality issues and what they would like to see the county do moving forward. I think that the hope today is the report that you have in front of you is a culmination of work that began in 2023. And I would like to begin by acknowledging the importance of this report as it relates to the public health, recreation, economic well-being of the residents of Polk County. The funding in this report that helped pay for this report, up to $1 million, was secured through the American Rescue Plan, or ARPA. I've had the opportunity to spend several weeks reading, understanding, asking questions about this report. And I'm pleased to see the comprehensive examination of the crucial issues facing our community. The problems identified in this report are not new to the stakeholders in Polk County, but this report is timely given the existing conversations around the high levels of nitrates that this community is dealing with currently. The report confirms what I call the monumental task ahead regarding water quality. I've always believed that this is a bipartisan issue, that clean water should be a bipartisan issue, and that the solutions to address this problem are also within our grasp. The work that Polk County has engaged in under the direction and leadership of Jonathan Swanson highlight some of the best practices if implemented statewide, which would have enormous benefits in these watersheds. Urban and rural Iowa must work cooperatively and identify the constraints that have hampered cooperative conversations in the past. And yes, that does include lawsuits. The road forward needs to be collaborative, constructive, with both parties having a voice and playing a role in solution-based approach. Jonathan Swanson will highlight some of these practices in his comments this morning. I also would like to acknowledge the work of the 16 scientists that combined more than 4,000 hours of research in establishing this study of studies and carefully shepherding this research by Jennifer Terry, who served as the project manager for CISRA. The best time to address a generational challenge to clean up our water is now. And I believe the process that will allow us to achieve the results we desire will be to work cooperatively with the other counties and cities within the watershed. The cost of addressing these problems is enormous, but the consequences of not addressing them is not an option. It does require all of us to collaborate at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level. I believe we have the data, the solutions, and the will to succeed if we work together. With the formal acceptance and filing of this report, it is now available online for residents in this community and for advocacy groups to download on Polk County's website. The landing page will also include highlights of work that Polk County's water quality initiatives are engaged in that are headed by Jonathan Swanson and his team. In all, there's a short executive summary, the summary report, and a technical report that contains hundreds of pages of data and analysis. I want to be clear about something. Not a single word of this report has been amended in any way or changed by this board. We accept the science, we accept the findings, and we are very clear that this report will stand on its own. Our board felt this report will allow readers to draw their own conclusions and allow organizations to engage in robust discussions in ways that can implement solutions that will move us forward on this initiative. At this time, I would like to ask our project coordinator, Jennifer Terry, to come forward and deliver some remarks, followed by Jonathan Swanson.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair McCoy. Yes, I'm the person that wrangled those 4,000 hours. So So thanks to the continuing interest in clean water, the supervisors commissioned the Central Iowa Source Water Research Assessment in 2023. We were fortunate to recruit 16 top researchers from across several disciplines and across the country to participate as independent consultants in the analysis and assessment of source water flowing in the Des Moines and Raccoon Rivers. The science advisors invested almost 4,400 hours of analysis, review, and discussion to produce the findings in the CISRA report, reviewing hundreds of peer-reviewed journal articles, reports, and data sets that exist about the two watersheds. The report is grouped around 4 topics: drinking water security, recreation, stream flow, and ecological health and habitat. The intent of the report and the hope of the county is that this report sparks a longer conversation about clean source water, and that NGOs, nonprofits, agencies, municipalities, private and public sector interests will use the findings of the report and the suggested action steps as they see fit to advocate and act to restore and protect the 2 rivers that are so important to Central Iowa. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for your work. John?
Thank you, Board. John Swanson, Water Resources Supervisor with Polk County Public Works. Coming up to say a few words because I'm lucky enough to get to lead a team of conservationists who spend all day, every day working on the water quality issues. And the fact is today we're talking about the CISRA report, and water quality is not a new priority for Polk County. Our conservation department has implemented a county-wide monitoring program, the first of its kind in the state, as a great indicator of the importance of water quality. And sitting here today, we're the only county in Iowa with a full water resources division of professionals dedicated towards improving water quality and reducing flooding. And we have been tasked with over those years, and I tell people, and I've told many of the people in this room here today, we've been tasked with from the board down to our staff to make a difference, figure out an efficient way for Polk County to have a role in improving Iowa's water quality, acknowledging that we're one county in large watersheds, but we are a very important county with urban and rural issues all coming together. And for us, making a difference has come through diversified approaches to putting conservation on the ground. Now, that is a commonality in this report, that there is no making a difference if we do not get more conservation and more practices on the ground. And there is no silver bullet. There is no one practice that's going to solve this difficult, complex issue. And over the last just 5 years, a few examples of these programs that Polk County has had the opportunity to develop and lead are things like the batch and build program, which is took saturated buffers and bioreactors that largely were not being implemented on the landscape. For ourselves in the county, over a 5-year period, we installed only 6 practices. Over the following 4 years, we installed 185 practices. But we're not in the business of practice counting. Again, it's not just about numbers, but it's about making a difference. We were excited to see that program now being launched in 13 counties across Iowa and 4 states in the Midwest. Again, making a difference by putting conservation on the ground. We took those lessons, partners came together, and we learned about a cover crop program running out of Kansas. That was a state-of-the-art, was not about just acres, but about getting people to successfully do cover crops on farms. And we purchased a cover crop seeder. A first of its kind, the first production model off the line with John Deere, and we actually, Polk County owns a cover crop seeder, and we go out across, we've used it in almost a dozen counties on over 100 distinct farming operations, on over almost 30,000 acres of cover crops have been seeded through our cover crop seeder program. So again, there's no one practice. These things have all continued to come together. We knew that as far as practices go, wetlands in many people's eyes are one of the most effective practices, but we were not installing as many wetlands as we could. So we launched, again, with the assistance of dedicated ARPA funding from the Board of Supervisors, our Wetland Wave program. Standing here today, we have over 40 wetlands in the works, slated to treat over 30,000 acres of agricultural water coming down to Polk County. But I'll end with acknowledging that Polk County, we also have urban issues. It's not all about agriculture. We have a large urban population, and with that, we have our own distinctly urban difficulties we're facing. One of those being the water coming off of those urban city streets, and we've developed and led an educational campaign that we call the RAIN campaign that has resulted in the implementation of over 2,000 practices in people's front and backyards to treat our water. So not forgetting about those urban areas. And lastly, but not to be forgotten, is the status of our streams. Without healthy streams, we will not have healthy watersheds. and acknowledging that we realize in Polk County that we have some serious stream issues. And again, with the dedication of some American Rescue Plan Act, we launched a stream restoration program that as we sit here today, we're slated to complete one of, if not the largest single stream restoration project ever done in Iowa, stabilizing, restoring over 10 miles of stream over about a 2-year period. So again, what does this all mean for the sister report? The sister report is more science, and we need more science. We need to continue to evolve and change and improve. And we're excited, our team here at Polk County, to dive into this report, figure out how it can help us do more, be more efficient, and make more of a difference. And we will be doing that in coming months and trying to, again, put more conservation on the ground. So thank you all.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone here from Waterworks? I believe that Ted was going to try to get here on behalf of Waterworks. Anyone that wants to make a statement? Not seeing anyone, I guess. One of the things that I did want to point out is that we have discussed all along that the challenge for us moving forward is resources. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is since the Iowa's Water and Land Legacy went before the voters twice, it would have represented about $180 million at 3/8 cents if the legislature would have enacted this change that went before voters. That would have generated $2.7 billion in funding for the type of work that Jonathan Swanson and Polk County has been engaging in. But it would be on a statewide effort addressing the whole Des Moines and Raccoon River watershed. And so I think it's really important as we advocate as a county and as we look forward into the future that this be part of our advocacy, that we not abandon the voters' demand that we support this 3/8 cent implementation to address cleaning up the waterways and the resources that will need to go with this multi-billion-dollar program moving forward. At this time, I would welcome any comments from the board. Otherwise, action to there is some additional communications. Any other comments from the board before we move forward?
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple comments. Thanks, Matt. First, I want to say excellent report. I'm thankful that it's finally gotten out and for the public to review. There's, as you mentioned, a lot of data and a lot of science in that report. I want to thank Jen Terry for her outstanding work and working with corralling, as she mentioned, all those scientists. I know she's worked really hard for almost 2 years putting this work together. And then I also want to mention John Norris, because without his leadership and his vision for this, we would have never really done this. So thank you to John Norris for thinking about securing our water future. And then Jonathan Swanson, who's just been outstanding working with farmers and in the rural area and really protecting our waterways and conserving our land. He's just done an outstanding job, and people love working with him, so I want to really thank him, and I know he'll really dig into this report. So I now hope the time is to move forward with the strategies that are in this report and the recommendations. I hope we can get with partners around the county. I did get a call from someone, the Story County Board of Supervisors. She's hoping, as we had planned many months ago when we were going to release this report, have Jen Terry go out and make presentations. I think her contract is up in September. I was happy to hear just now that earlier that the Harkin Institute is going to take the ball and run with this too, but I do think it's important that Jen go out and explain the 4 chapters in this report that are so important. It's just not about nitrates, it's about a lot of things. So I think a lot of people want to hear this. As I mentioned, Story County Board of Supervisors and others up in Story County want to hear about it. And no other person, I think, has the wherewithal to do it other than Jen. So I hope that we can continue to spread the good word on this. It's going to take many, many people to move forward on this water quality in our county, in our region, really. And we need all community partners to make this happen. So I'm glad it's out, and I hope we can have presentations moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. We're going to receive this report and file this report, and it is now available online for download. And I believe there are other communications.
Numbers 43 and 44 are notices of appraisement of damages and time for appeal in the matter of the condemnation of certain rights in land for the 2026 Neighborhood Sidewalk Program. And number 45, notice of appraisement of damages and time for appeal in the matter of the condemnation of certain rights in land for Euclid Avenue improvements.
Refer to Treasurer and County Attorney. Budget actions, are there any?
None.
Memorandum of appointments.
Move to approve.
Is there roll call?
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes. Any board member comments at this time? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Roll call?
Holm?
Yes.
Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
Altringer? McCoy?
Yes. Thank you all for being here.